Imagine waking up one day and realizing the life you have been defending is not truly yours, that your decisions, your beliefs, even your ambitions were shaped quietly by expectations, fear of rejection, and the need to be accepted long before you ever had a choice. That the life you are defending so fiercely is not yours. It is a role you learned to perform. You believe you chose who you are. You did not. You were trained. You learned what to say, what to hide, what to desire, and what to suppress, so you could be accepted, tolerated, and left alone. And the most dangerous part is this: you now mistake that conditioning for identity. Look closely at your behavior. How often you hesitate before speaking. How often you adjust your tone depending on who is listening. How often you betray instinct to appear reasonable, mature, or likable. You call this self-control. It is obedience you no longer question. Machiavelli warned that men live more by appearances than reality. And the man who forgets this becomes a servant without chains. Your personality is not freedom. It is a performance, refined to survive other people's expectations. Stay here, because what controls you is not lack of self-awareness. It is the invisible pressure to belong, to fit, to be readable. Most people never escape this. They build entire lives inside roles they never authored and call it normal. From childhood, you were named, corrected, rewarded, and punished. Certain traits were encouraged, others were buried. You learned quickly what made you acceptable and what made you dangerous to express. Over time, you adapted, you refined yourself, you became functional, and in that process, you lost authorship over who you are. What you present to the world is not your true self. It is a mask designed to function. And the longer you confuse that mask with identity, the easier you are to predict, manage, and replace. And beneath it sits everything you were told not to be. Your aggression, your ambition, your darker instincts, your unfiltered desires. You pushed them down, not because they disappeared, but because they were inconvenient. Machiavelli understood this truth, without illusion. What is buried does not vanish, it waits, and while it waits, it leaks. It leaks through reactions you do not understand, through impulses you deny, through judgments you project onto others, through moments where you feel threatened without knowing why. You think these reactions are flaws. They are signals. Most men believe finding themselves means discovering something new, a passion, a purpose, a higher version. That belief keeps them trapped, because the real problem is not what you lack. It is what has been buried and now runs you from the dark. This is not a journey of comfort. It is a confrontation, and if you stay, you will realize something most people never do. You were never lost. You were trained. If you do not understand how your identity was shaped, you will spend your entire life protecting a version of yourself that was designed for control. You already know something feels wrong with your life, but you keep mislabeling it as confusion, lack of motivation, or bad timing. That is not the problem. The problem is simpler and more brutal. The version of you making decisions every day is not the one in control. It is a constructed version, trained to survive systems, approval, and consequence, not to command outcomes. Look at your routine. Look at how you move through a day. You wake up reacting. Messages dictate your pace. Expectations dictate your tone. Obligations dictate your priorities. By the time you sit alone, you are exhausted, not from effort, but from adjustment. You have spent the entire day calibrating yourself to other people's comfort. You call this responsibility. It is conditioning. Machiavelli understood this mechanism long before psychology named it. Men do not live as they are. They live as they are allowed, and those who fail to recognize this mistake adaptation for identity. From the moment you entered the world, you were shaped. You were praised for certain behaviors and corrected for others. You learned quickly what made you acceptable and what made you a problem. Over time, the unacceptable parts did not disappear. They were suppressed, and the acceptable parts became exaggerated until they formed what you now call your personality. This is the persona. You wear it everywhere. At work, you present competence without friction. In relationships, you present calm without threat. In social spaces, you present likability without dominance. And it works. You are tolerated, included, trusted. But look at the cost. You hesitate when instinct tells you to act. You soften when instinct tells you to stand firm. You delay when instinct tells you to move. And slowly, without realizing it, you built a version of yourself that functions well in systems but poorly in reality. Machiavelli warned that men who depend on appearances become prisoners of them. The persona protects you from conflict, but it also signals compliance. The more polished it becomes, the more predictable you become. And predictability is not safety, it is vulnerability. You have felt this tension before. That quiet frustration when you know you should have spoken. That anger you swallowed because it would have disturbed the room. That resentment you carry because you keep accommodating situations that drain you. You tell yourself you are being mature, you are being managed. And beneath this persona sits everything you learned to suppress. Your aggression, your hunger for control, your refusal to be overlooked. You buried these traits early because they created friction. Teachers corrected them, parents redirected them, society discouraged them. So you adapted. You learned restraint, you learned politeness, you learned to explain instead of assert. Machiavelli never confused restraint with weakness. He warned that unexpressed force does not disappear, it waits. And when force is buried instead of directed, it leaks. It leaks through irritation you cannot explain, through envy, when you see others take space you denied yourself, through sudden emotional reactions that surprise even you, through the constant sense that something in your life feels misaligned. You are not broken, you are divided. The persona runs your surface life, the suppressed self runs your reactions. And this division is not harmless. It makes you readable. Others sense it. They sense hesitation. They sense overthinking. They sense the gap between what you are and what you present. This is why certain people test you, why they push boundaries lightly, why they take liberties they would never take with someone solid. You think they are disrespectful. They are assessing. Machiavelli understood assessment better than anyone. Men do not challenge strength directly. They probe for weakness. And weakness does not announce itself through fear. It announces itself through inconsistency. When your words do not match your posture, when your silence feels apologetic instead of deliberate, when your restraint looks like avoidance instead of control, this is where most men fail without realizing it. They believe finding themselves means adding something new. A purpose, a passion, a mission. That belief keeps them trapped, because the real issue is not absence, it is interference. Your identity has been overwritten by expectations. Your instincts have been dulled by approval seeking. Your power has been fragmented to maintain harmony, and harmony is the enemy of authority. This is not a motivational speech, this is a diagnosis. The life you are living feels constrained because it is. The restlessness you feel is not confusion, it is pressure. The frustration you feel is not immaturity, it is suppressed agency. Machiavelli would tell you this plainly. A man who cannot tolerate his own tension will always be governed by others. And the first step toward control is not discovery, it is recognition. Recognition that the self you defend is not your origin, it is your adaptation. And until you confront what you buried to survive, you will continue to live inside a version of yourself that was designed for acceptance, not dominance. This is only the surface. Because what you suppressed does not stay silent forever. It waits, and when it surfaces, it does not ask permission. Once you accept that your identity was shaped instead of chosen, another problem becomes impossible to ignore. The mask you wear did not only suppress parts of you, it trained you to fear them. And whatever you fear inside yourself will eventually control you from the outside. This is where most men break down. Because the moment you try to step outside the role you have been performing, resistance appears. Not dramatic resistance, subtle resistance, social resistance, emotional resistance. The kind that makes you doubt yourself before you act. You have felt this. The first time you spoke more directly, the room went quiet. The first time you withdrew attention, someone questioned your attitude. The first time you stopped explaining, people assumed something was wrong. That reaction trained you. You learned quickly that deviation has a cost. So you returned to the familiar shape. You told yourself it was wisdom, it was fear management. Machiavelli would call it unused power. The instincts you suppress are not flaws, they are functions. Aggression is not cruelty, it is boundary enforcement. Detachment is not coldness, it is leverage. Silence is not weakness, it is asymmetry. You were taught the opposite, because controlled men are easier to manage. Watch how this plays out in your life. At work, you feel when someone crosses a line, but you respond diplomatically instead of decisively. You believe professionalism demands restraint. What it actually rewards is predictability, so the behavior continues, and slowly your position erodes. In relationships, you sense imbalance early. You give more, you adjust more, you compromise more. You believe patience will restore equality. It never does. It teaches the other person exactly how far they can lean on you. In social environments, you feel when respect drops. The jokes shift, the tone changes. You notice it. You do nothing. You wait for it to correct itself. It does not. None of this happens because you lack awareness. It happens because the version of you operating in those moments is designed to preserve the mask, not your position. Machiavelli warned that men judge less by what you are than by what you appear to be. And once an appearance is established, it becomes a trap. The moment you try to step outside it, the world resists because it benefits from your consistency. This is why transformation feels dangerous. You are not afraid of becoming something else. You are afraid of losing the protections your current role provides. Approval, predictability, access, safety. So instead of changing, you intellectualize, you read, you reflect, you analyze. But you do not alter behavior. And because behavior does not change, outcomes do not change. Here is the harsh truth. Your unconscious reactions are not random. They are conditioned responses protecting an identity that no longer serves you. Every time you hesitate, explain, or seek validation, you are reinforcing the same structure that keeps you contained. This is why most men remain stuck at the same level for years while believing they are evolving. They polish the mask instead of replacing the frame. Machiavelli spoke about listening to the unconscious. What most people misunderstand is this. The unconscious does not speak in words, it speaks in friction, in discomfort, in repeated patterns, in the quiet irritation you keep suppressing. Pay attention to what repeatedly frustrates you. Pay attention to where you feel small. Pay attention to situations where you leave thinking about what you should have done. Those moments are not mistakes. They are signals. They are showing you where the mask is too tight. And here is the part no one tells you. As long as your identity remains fixed, you remain readable. And as long as you are readable, you are manageable. People know what you will tolerate. They know how you will respond. They know how far they can go. This is not because they are malicious. It is because systems adapt to predictability. Machiavelli never advised men to be authentic. He advised them to be effective. Authenticity without control is exposure. Identity without flexibility is confinement. The goal is not to remove the mask. That is childish. The goal is to reclaim authorship, to decide when it is worn and when it is dropped, to let nothing about you run automatically. And this requires one brutal shift. You must stop identifying with your reactions. The irritation you feel is not you. The fear of disapproval is not you. The urge to explain is not you. They are habits. They were installed. Once you see them as habits, they lose authority. This is where the illusion of self begins to crack. The person you thought you were is not fixed. It is a pattern, and patterns can be interrupted. But before that interruption becomes possible, one final truth must be confronted. The one that ends comfort completely. You do not become powerful by discovering yourself. You become powerful by discarding what is no longer useful, and that confrontation is unavoidable. At this point, you should see the trap clearly. The problem was never confusion, it was permission. You gave the world permission to decide who you are by reacting automatically to pressure. Every time you explained instead of acted, every time you softened instead of enforced, every time you waited instead of moved, that permission trained everyone around you how to treat you. And now comes the truth. Most men resist until it costs them years. Your identity is not something you discover. It is something you maintain through behavior. The moment your behavior changes, the identity collapses. That is why change feels dangerous. Not because you might fail, because you will break agreements you never consciously signed. Watch what happens when you stop playing the role. You stop over-explaining at work. Suddenly people feel uncertain around you. You stop responding immediately. Suddenly your attention feels valuable. You stop justifying decisions. Suddenly your authority becomes assumed instead of negotiated. Nothing about you changed internally, only access changed. Machiavelli understood this with brutal clarity. Men do not respect essence. They respect consequence. They do not respond to intention. They respond to control. This is why the illusion of self must die. The version of you that reacts emotionally, seeks validation, and identifies with every thought is not your true self. It is a liability, a predictable pattern others can anticipate and exploit. You have seen this play out. The moment you hesitate, someone steps in. The moment you doubt yourself, someone reframes reality for you. The moment you seek agreement, someone sets terms, and you accept them because the mask demands consistency. You tell yourself, this is who you are. It is not. It is who you were trained to be. Real power begins when nothing about you runs automatically, when silence becomes deliberate, when restraint becomes chosen, when aggression becomes controlled instead of suppressed. This is not about becoming hostile. It is about becoming unreadable. An unreadable man cannot be rushed. He cannot be guilted. He cannot be cornered emotionally, because there is no visible lever to pull. Look at your life honestly. Where do people assume your compliance? Where do they expect your patience? Where do they rely on your predictability? Those are the exact places where power has been leaking. And here is the final exposure. Most men believe freedom comes from expressing themselves fully. That belief keeps them weak. Freedom comes from selective expression, from revealing nothing you do not intend to use, from understanding that identity is not authenticity, it is positioning. Machiavelli never taught men to remove the mask. He taught them to master it, to appear generous without being wasteful, to appear calm without being passive, to appear agreeable without surrendering ground. You do not need to announce change. You do not need to explain evolution. You do not need permission. You alter behavior. The world recalibrates. That is the law. And once this clicks, you will notice something unsettling. The world treats you differently, not because you demanded respect, but because your reactions stopped providing access. People move carefully around what they cannot read. They hesitate around what they cannot predict. This is where life actually begins. Not when you find yourself. When you stop being available to be shaped. You were never lost. You were maintained, and now you understand the difference. There is no going back to unconscious identity after this. Once you see how behavior constructs the self, you cannot unsee it. If this hit hard, drop this in the comments. I control my reactions. Say it to cement it, not for visibility, for commitment. From this point forward, every reaction costs or builds position. Every word reveals or conceals leverage. Every silence either weakens you or sharpens you. If you reached this point, understand what that means. You didn't watch for entertainment. You stayed because something clicked. You now see what most people never question: why your identity felt tight, why your reactions were predictable, why control always slipped the moment you explained yourself. That awareness alone already separates you from the majority. If this shifted how you see yourself and the world, lock it in, like the video. Not for me, for the algorithm to push this perspective further. Subscribe to the channel if you want content that doesn't comfort you, doesn't flatter you, and doesn't keep you harmless. This channel exists to sharpen perception and restore control. Thank you for watching all the way through. Most people don't. I'll see you in the next video.